Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Inside Track, Equibase's weekly handicapping podcast, where we give our analysis, picks, and wagers for a couple of the weekend's top races. I'm your host, Ben Kudla, and today I'm joined again by Corey Patton, the CEO and co-founder of Promana Labs, which creates all of the free Equibase stat lines handicapping content on equibase.com. So thank you so much for being here, Corey. We had a great time last week and picked some winners as well.
Yeah, we certainly did. I think we did pretty well across those three stakes races we pointed out.
Yeah, you hit the Basanda with Running Away. I had the Silver Bullet Day Stakes with Slimpy Joking. And we had the trifecta in that Grade 3 Lecomte. Your innovator ran really well to hang on for third. Disco Time, that 40% that we were talking about last week. Brad Cox, Florent Giroux. There it is. You got to listen to those 40 percenters. But he ended up getting that big win and then built my top play. Got second. So I know you were in between Disco Time and an innovator back and forth, but they both ran very well.
Absolutely. And those are the only two that the three that we talked about on the pod last week. And I think Innovator, running the race that Innovator ran against the bias was a really, really good and commendable effort. Might want to watch where that one goes next. And, we'll see if he stays on the trail or whether the long spring route in between distance, maybe where that horse goes, we'll see. But ran a very commendable race last in the Lecomte. And I'm excited about talking about a big racing weekend this weekend in the Pegasus down in Gulfstream.
It's finally Pegasus time. We were waiting all year since 2024 for our yearly Pegasus. So it's going to be a stacked weekend of racing. And if you haven't seen me enough, you can catch me on the America's Best Racing live show this Saturday at Gulfstream Park in the paddock. It's just a 2-hour show in the last three stakes of the day. So check it out. We'll be having so much fun talking about lifestyle. And we got Mike Rapoli coming on as well for a guest. So be sure to check that out, 4 p.m. live. It'll be streaming on all Equibase social media, as well as America's Best Racing social media. And before we begin, we have 4 free weekly feeder contests left on horseplayers.com as part of the Equibase's race to the NHC. The top 2 finishers in each weekly feeder contest will make their way to Raceland's Final 50 on February 22nd, and the top 2 finishers in that will earn a seat to NHC 2025 in Vegas. So let's start off the show. All things Pegasus, going over the Grade 2 Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mare Turf Invitational Stakes, the Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup Turf Invitational, and the $3 million Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup. So let's start with this Filly and Mare Invitational Turf, obviously for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. Mile and a 16th on the turf. Full field of 12 plus 2 also eligibles. Last year's winner was Didia for trainer Ignacio Carreras IV with Jose Ortiz aboard. And Didia, she went on to win the Grade 1 New York Stakes at Saratoga in June and finished third in the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf to Moira in November. So Didia, of course, raced in Argentina before coming to the States. Ignacio Carreras IV and Jose Ortiz have a very similar situation entered in this race with a horse from Chile. Number 6, Donna Clotta, coming off back-to-back Group 1 wins, and will be making her North American debut on Saturday. Is she your play in here, or are you going a different route?
She is not my play, Ben. I actually have a horse that I've had circled since the Swanee River. A horse that had a ton of trouble. I think probably was best in there if you look at the replay, which I think you're about to pull up. And I think that this horse is going to provide a little bit more value than some of the others in here for those that will not watch this replay. So Papilio 2-1 is my play in here. And so watch this replay from the Swanee River. Papilio is going to be the 4 horse. And the 4 horse will be down on the rail. It's Cassie and Castellano. And those two know how to win races together, right? So when this horse comes into the stretch, you're going to see, rounding this far turn, the 4's got a ton of run right there. Castellano has not done anything. Feet in the dashboard. Going to try to find room, but it's going to run up against the 1 here, who's kind of fading a bit or just trying to find some room itself. And then watch this. Whoa, look at that.
Right there, yeah.
Way up, all momentum, dead stop. Now still behind a wall of 4 horses in front. Got nowhere to go. Not ask. Sitting still. Castellano finally says, okay, there's a tiny seam. And watch this explosion when you get the seam. Just shakes the reins. Never really asks. Shows the whip. Shakes the reins. And that horse explodes to finish second and gallop out past the winner on the turn in this race. So if you watch that, you say, okay, there's a lot of trouble there. There's some angles I can pursue there when I look at this horse where it shows up next. And guess what? It shows up against Be Your Best in this race, and also against some others in that race, Ocean Club, Bless My Stars, that are also going to be in this one as well. And both of those had some trouble as well in that race. But I think Papilio was the best, to be honest. And I think with some clean racing can turn the tables. Now, here's where I think this gets interesting. So Papilio has finished second in all 3 career races at Gulfstream.
Yeah.
Which is both encouraging and a little concerning, right? Sometimes
Right.
people have trouble, find trouble. Cassie and Castellano were 29% together over the past 90 days, 4 of 7 first or second over the last 90 days, 5 of 7 in the money together, a 357 ROI. They just seem to find a way to finish in the action each time. So at 8-1, maybe drifting up a little bit. I really like that as a play in here. Since January of last year, they're 6 of 11, 55% in the exacta together in turf routes at Gulfstream Park. So they like it there. They win at 27%. This year so far, 1 of 1 turf routes at Gulfstream Park. Small sample size, but already fine in the winner's circle. And I really just think Papilio is getting better. Has 4 consecutive increasing equibase speed figures. And my really only concern is that she has just 1 graded stakes win in her career, way back in April of 2023 at Keeneland, and really only has a single win period since then, and an allowance
optional claiming. Yeah.
So if you look at that, loves to run, but doesn't like to win, it seems. But I'm really in here thinking I'm hoping for a clean trip, some racing luck, and I think it'll turn the tables on Be Your Best here, and I'm hoping for a price that's a lot more favorable than what Be Your Best will be.
Well, 8-1 morning line, you'll definitely get that in here, I think. And yeah, just an unlucky year for this mare. I mean, 1 of 7 for 2024 and only 2 seconds. But as you can see in those running lines, I mean, just always found trouble. But she ran hard, and that last race was at the Suwannee River. Really ended up being a big prep for today. And I don't know if you all recall, but that was our holiday special, one of our races. And as the Santa Claus, I did pick Bless My Stars, really interesting South African horse that was bought by Team Valor and Gary Barber, and had an 11-month layoff and shipped over here. Had a terrible start in that Suwannee River and finished 6th by like a length and 3/4. And Ellis had Oceanside, who also had a very tough, start and just cruising towards the end. I got 3rd by length and 1/4. So they were all right there. We saw the end of that, but I'm going to go with a little different route. I'm going to go on the inside here with the number 1 Requia, more line of 4-1. I would really love to get that, but it's a Shadwell homebred, born in Ireland by Point Blue. Second start on this side of the pond and first start for the Todd Pletcher barn. She was previously trained by Owen Burrows, and she's the one and only start for him in North America all time, which is kind of interesting. Requia coming off a Group 3 win in England and won the Grade 3 Golden Cova Stakes at Del Mar on the undercard of the Breeders' Cup Classic a couple of months back in her career debut in North America. She led just about every step of the way in the Golden Cova, winning her first route race by a length and a half. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this race because it was really impressive. I mean, right at the top of the stretch, she just kind of looks about dead in the water. And she's on the inside there, the 10, obviously with the Shadwell Silks. And then Sacred Wish, the 2 at 2-1 morning line, is also in this race, the 10, the filly mare turf. And she's coming. But, I mean, look at how she just broke free, shook free in hand. I mean, really, really impressive win on debut, and a debut in route in North America as well. And mind you, Sacred Wish came back in the next race to win the Grade 1 Matriarch, beating Gino Romantica. So it really gives a ton of credit to Requia, how she's able to pull away in her first ever route race. So she'll be stretching out again, another half furlong, and I think she absolutely has the stamina for it. In the last 3 years, Todd Pletcher's winning at 21% in turf route stakes races at Gulfstream Park, 14 wins from 66 starts, and 52% in the money. Post 1 can be a little bit tough, with these route races, but I think she has an advantage with her running style. Dettori back on board. He rode her to victory in the Golden Cova. Oddly enough, though, Pletcher and Dettori have never had a win together. They're 0 for 10 career, but 40% in the money. But this filly loves to win. 5 wins from 8 starts lifetime, and 3 wins from 4 starts in 2024. So, that 6 is also interesting. That Chile horse, Sacred Wish, hard to keep out, and Bless My Stars, like I said. So, ton of contenders, just a fantastic race. So
how does the pace scenario set up in your mind? Kia had a pretty easy lead last time. Does she get the same effort this time?
I think she's going to go for that same deal, but honestly, a lot of these horses are going to be coming off the pace, so
Yeah.
she might get a decent trip, on the front end. So I'm all required at 4-1. I love it. So
Yeah.
there is
Did you look at Brendan Walsh's Manushka in here?
a little bit. I mean, I know he's been red hot
Red
recently.
hot. Red hot. Yeah. So
You know,
he's been red hot, but he and Gaffalione, if you look at this, you say, okay, that horse is definitely coming off the pace. Looks like it's got a shot. Obviously, Walsh, everything he's sending out right now, you got to respect. But Walsh and Gaffalione are just 2 of 28 together in turf route graded stakes races since January of 2023. So I looked at that, and then I looked at that Pomona stat line, and I said, maybe I'll look another direction. But I think there's a lot of them in here with a chance. I'm going to stand with what I think was a really troubled trip. Hopefully hopefully Papilio gets a better trip today. And Rakia doesn't get a lone lead where nobody challenges, which is what I'm concerned about when I saw it.
She might run away with it. But yeah, the Manushka is very interesting. Back-to-back 104 Equibase speed figures. One thing I didn't like in her last race, lost to Pounce, which I'm not too keen on. So that could be telling. But, third start in North America, so we shall see. And yeah, Brendan Walsh, Tyler Gaffalione, there's a power duo. So another one you can't really discard. And there's so many options this race, and I actually might get 4-1 in that require. If so, that's a big win bet.
You definitely might, and I think obviously the pace scenario favors her from the inside if she gets a clean break. So we'll see. I'm going to go with a little bit more of a price. You're going to go with what seems like a pace scenario play from my standpoint.
Well, there we go. Required 1 million Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup Turf Invitational Stakes, a mile and the eighth on the turf, 4-year-olds and up. Last year's winner was a Mare, Warmheart. She beat the boys for trainer Aidan O'Brien with Ryan Moore aboard. This was the final race of her career, and she went out a winner. So good for her. Full field of 12, except number 1 Siege of Boston is scratched. That's number 13 Fort Washington is in. Tons of value in here. What are your thoughts in this race?
Well, I'm going with value as well. I'm going to go with 8-1 with, I cannot believe I'm going to get that in the morning line with Mi Hermano Ramon.
I know. I couldn't believe 8-1 on that.
I just love that. I don't think you'll get it at post time, but I do think this horse is on a huge improving streak. I want to start with his last race in the San Gabriel at Santa Anita. I thought it was exceptional. He had a really kind of a suboptimal break, ran wide most of that race. He took the lead briefly in the stretch before being bested by an absolute rock star in Johannes. In fact, if you watch the race, Ramon kind of rebroke when Johannes got to him and looked him in the eye, which is something I love, the fight of that horse. What would Johannes be in this race? Honestly,
1-9.
Yeah. If you look at that and you say this horse really gave Johannes all it could take in the last race, and you look at where Johannes would be if it was in this race, I think it's just, you got to look at that company line, right? If you watch the gallop out, which is something a lot of horse players do, Ramon gallops out past everybody and is super hard to pull up after the race as well. So had a little bit more to give at that point, I think. Probably could have run even longer and kept wanting to run some more. And I love that competitive fight. Posted a 123 Equibase speed figure. Let me repeat, a 123 Equibase speed figure in that race in the San Gabriel. And
after posting a 120 the race before that.
Well, he's got 7 consecutive increasing speed figures. And when you pair those, I trust it a little bit more than when you see that oddball that hangs out there, right? Look at those 7 figures going back to April 7th of 2023, 93, 96, 98, 100, 114, 120, 123. Look at that improvement streak. It's just hard to miss, right? I think that horse is set to run. Mark Glatt, the trainer, is absolutely on fire on the turf right now. Tied for the second best turf race winning percentage, 8 of 18, 44% over the last 45 days for any trainer in North America with at least 5 turf starts. 14 times in the money, a positive ROI. It's just getting it done right now on the sod. Luis Saez stays aboard. All time, Glatt and Saez are 20% together and 60% in the money together. There is kind of a crazy note here. If you look at the running line, Ramon has had some sort of trouble in 7 of his 10 career races.
Yeah.
And as I said with the last race, some horses just find trouble. But in his 3 where he didn't, he won 2 of them and finished 3rd in the other one. So gets a clean trip on Saturday, might have some running left to do, and might actually give me a nice win at 8-1. I love this horse. Downside, Mark Glatt never won a race at Gulfstream Park. Over one, doesn't start a lot of work.
Yeah, I looked that up too. Since 1991,
Yes.
He's only ever won
and just have one
start.
race. So, I mean, there's nothing there you can look at. But then again, there's also nothing to really be upset about. So I think
same with him and Luis Saez. They only have 5 career starts all time together. One win, 1 second, 1 third.
That's correct. So
we'll look it up on Pramana.
Got it. So Pramana Shift, just power in this podcast.
That's right.
I'll stick with Ramon. Who you got?
I love it. Ramon was a hard to pass up. I was really going back and forth with him and Formidable Man. Also, by the way, you and Ellis both picked Papilio and Mi Hermano Ramon back to back.
Well,
there you go. But I'm going to go with this number 2, Formidable Man. Really interesting horse. I cannot believe that I got 15-1 morning line on him. 4-year-old colt by City of Light for the Michael McCarthy barn with Berto Rispoli aboard. Coming off 3 stakes wins in a row at Del Mar. Won the Oceanside Stakes, the Grade 2 Del Mar Derby, where the 3rd place finisher came back to win the Grade 2 Twilight Derby at Santa Anita next time out. And then he won the Grade 1 Hollywood Derby last time up by 3/4 of a length, running 107 Equibase speed figure. In that Hollywood Derby last time out, he beat King of Gosford, who we just saw win the Grade 2 Mathis Mile Stakes on opening day at Santa Anita. He also beat Carson's Run, who finished 6th in the Hollywood Derby. He was a 2-time Grade 1 winner. I love Rispoli making this trip from SoCal to ride this horse. Fordland has 5 career wins, and Rispoli has been aboard for 4 of them. So in the last year, Rispoli has been winning at 22% in turf routes and 50% in the money. 61 wins from 281 starts and 141 in the money. First Saturday in May in the undercard for the Kentucky Derby last year, Formidable Man finished 2nd to Tricari over Laganos, finished 3rd, who came back to win the Grade 3 Commonwealth Turf at Keeneland. Cugino finished 4th, came back to win the Autobahn at Churchill Downs. Legend of Time finished 5th and came back to win the Grade 2 Panini Ridge Stakes. Neat finished 7th and came back to win the Grade 3 Manila and the Grade 2 National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame Stakes. And Stay Hot, who finished last, came back to win the La Hala Handicap. He's been running against some just top tier horses, and he's only getting better with every start. In the last 3 years, McCarthy, Rispoli winning at 21% in graded stakes races together, 6 wins from 28 starts, 46% in the money. Last 5 years, McCarthy wins at 50% in graded stakes races at Gulfstream Park, 3 wins from 6 starts and 67% in the money with a plus 72% return on investment. All time at Gulfstream Park, Mike McCarthy wins at 57% and 72% in the money with a plus 89% ROI, 4 wins from 7 starts and 5 in the money. Small sample size, but that's all time.
Yeah.
So 15-1, I mean, I absolutely love it. But Mi Hermano Ramon, he is just so fast.
Look, we're both looking at West Coast invaders in this race.
Yes, yeah, we are.
Which I think is great. Look, I cut my teeth in California racing. I have a bit of a soft spot for that. But when I see somebody do the Formidable Man numbers and the class lines are really impressive. And when you see 3 straight wins, at Del Mar on the turf, you got to take note of that. I also looked that workout on January 4th.
Yes, 46.6. I didn't even know they could go there.
I mean, come on, this horse is set for go, right? So, you at 15-1, that is definitely somebody you got to put in your top play for sure. So I do like that horse as well. I like City of Lights quite a bit. McCarthy is super hot. Rispoli, I mean, come on, Rispoli on the turf, you need to throw in every single time. What did you end up doing with Nation's Pride?
I think he's done.
Really?
Yeah, I know. And I know I've been called crazy for saying that. He reminds me of like City of Troy, and he might be better in North America than City of Troy was, but I don't know. I think he'll be probably done after this race regardless. I don't know. We'll see. But I didn't really add him in anything underneath. Honestly, more so I like Major Dude underneath.
Yeah,
but Formidable Man at 15-1, I don't know if I really need to find any other value.
Oh no, you do not. But the 2-1, Charles Appleby and William Buick usually gets a lot of look from the bettors.
Yes, and when we first started this podcast, you and me, I mean, they could not lose together. But as the year went on, they kind of went cold.
Appleby has never run a horse at Gulfstream, and Buick has never won a race over 3. So. Maybe it's the only place in North America that Buick and Appleby don't win. But at 2-1, I'm going to look the other direction and watch them beat me, I guess.
Yeah, well, I guess European did win last year with Warmart, so
all right.
I guess they could do it again. But yeah, I mean, I this is one of my favorite races to handicap. Oh, and also one thing for me or Mono Ramon if you want to play him instead of Formidable Man. He did go against older horses. Formidable Man is not. So that's definitely something to consider, and I think probably why you're getting that 15-1 value, but just something to consider.
Yep, that's an important angle for sure.
But let's move on to the feature race of the week, the $3 million Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup, 1 1/8 on the dirt for 4-year-olds and up. Last year's winner was National Treasure by a neck over newly retired Senior Buscador for trainer Bob Baffert, with Flavian Pratt aboard. Full field of 12, with 7 of the entries having earned over $1 million in career earnings. I love that. Long-awaited Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup. I want to hear it. Who's your pick? Who's your top play?
Oh man! So in the cigar, when we did this podcast back when Locked ran in the cigar mile, I picked Locked coming off.
It was a great play
and looked great and won well and looked fantastic. And I said, yeah, that probably set him up nicely for the Pegasus.
And he was a 5-1 morning line, by the way. You got that down in favor.
Absolutely. So following that, I'm not going to pick it. I'm going another direction. I'm going with Stronghold at 10-1. I guess I'm showing my California bias here as well with Stronghold. But I think at 10-1, in the way that horse ran in the Malibu, it's hard to overlook that just on an up and comer. So a couple of things here. One, if you watch that Malibu race, finishing second to that razor sharp Doug O'Neill horse, Raging Torrent, which is just a blazing seven furlong horse, ran a 1:14 Equibase speed figure. Stronghold did it off of a bit of a layoff and might be well meant for this 4-year-old campaign. I just think he's sitting on a good year. Faced Mystic Dan in that race, dusted him, who's also in here. Trainer Phil D'Amato wins at 21% all time, going dirt sprint to dirt route, and 27% the last 2 years. So I have no problem. Post 6 in here, which barring any defections is where Stronghold will break from. Wins at 12% in 1 1/8 dirt races at Gulfstream since 1991. Locked does not have the benefit of the post position. I'm pretty sure we'll talk about that a bit when it comes to your discussion, but I'd say post 6 is a better place to be in this distance.
I agree.
For sure. He's posted 4 consecutive increasing speed figures, since running in the Derby. Only foal to race out of that damn Spectator, who was also trained by D'Amato. Spectator ran in 7 graded stakes, winning the Sorrento and finishing second in the Santa Anita Oaks. And when you look at Stronghold, what really jumps out at you is the versatility. Oh, can this horse, ship around and win? Well, 9th different track for Stronghold to run. Let's say this horse just turned 4, 9th different track, and he's acquitted himself nicely, finishing first or second in 9 of 10 career races across those tracks, right? Only his 7th place finish in the Kentucky Derby is outside of the exacta, and 8 of 10 of those were graded stakes races. So quality, class, running line, ships well, runs well. I think well meant off of a career high Equibase speed figure. He's won at the distance. I think if Stronghold can sit close and make a run, I don't see a ton of difference between Stronghold at 10-1 and Locked at 5-2 if you look at their running lines in here. So I'm going to take the longer price and hope that potentially the short break to the first turn by the post 11 is what's going to make the difference between the runs of Locked and Stronghold in my book.
I love it. I mean, we're really just swapping because I've been on Stronghold as my Derby play. I mean, I picked that horse any chance I could, and now here I am going against him. But you know what? As you were talking, what I just kind of jumped up on the page to me, you know what this horse reminds me so much of is Sierra Leone.
Yeah,
just always consistently there, and then here comes the big Grade 1 multi-million-dollar race, and he might just take the win. So I love that play, and yes, that's where you want to be, that 6 hole. So, but I'm going to be going with Locked. Morning line 5-2. I think that's actually generous for that horse, but I hate to pick favorites, but he just looks just top tier. Finished 3rd in his career debut to Just Steel. Came back to break. This is way back to the beginning. We're starting at the beginning with this horse. Broke his maiden. or 3rd debut to Just Steel. Came back to break his maiden at Saratoga by 7 lengths. One of those monster $140,000, maiden special weights that they had. And then won the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity, Keeneland, October of 2023. Ran 3rd to Fierceness in Muth in the 2023 Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Takes an 11-month layoff and comes back to win by 7 lengths. Allowance optional claiming at Belmont at the Big A. And last time out, he wins the Grade 2 Cigar Mile Handicap, which was a Grade 1 field and should be a Grade 1 race. I'll just say that. Won by a length and a half, running a career best 113 Echo-based speed figure. Todd Pletcher and Johnny V went at 26% in graded stakes races together in the last 3 years, 15 wins from 58 starts, 45% in the money. There's the biggest reason I do like him. And this level of talent in this field, he's ranked first in late pace rating with a 121.5. That's huge. And you know, you and I and Christina and Scott were all on that with Newgate, you know, back in the Breeders' Cup. That late pace rating, it really does matter a lot.
Great race. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it
Look,
was a great race.
The running lines in here that you pointed out is exactly what we pointed out back in the cigar. I mean, this horse has faced the best of his crop, and he acquitted himself pretty well when he started facing older. I do think this horse has got a ton of talent. He's probably sitting on his best year. Honestly, I'm just looking at the post position. Since 1991 at Gulfstream, that post position 11 in mile and an eighth dirt races, just 7 winners out of 150. So 5%, running out 119 of those 150 times, running out of the money. So it's a really tough position to break from, and this horse may be able to overcome it. And if he does, kudos, and what a world beater. So I like your pick. What are you doing with White Abarrio? Because you and I had some chatter about that last week.
Yes, I was actually just going to bring him up. I'm glad you did. You know, when we first, you know, I saw who was entered, I was like, okay, White Abarrio. To me, I was like, okay, that's probably a clear winner. You're probably going to get a decent price. And the more I look, especially at, what is he, 3-1, I believe? Yeah, 3-1 more.
3-1.
I don't know if he can go this distance. And he came back, you know, to win really impressively by 10 lengths, but that was also a race that was kind of written for him at Gulfstream, you know, and then to not win that Mr. Prospector, you know, at odds of, what was he, 2-5, I believe, that day. And he went down in Echo-based speed figure.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, I just think 3-1, maybe if he was like 8-1, 9-1, 10-1, I would be, you know, a little bit more all about it, but I don't know at 3-1. I just don't think he's going to like this distance. You know, he likes Gulfstream, but and I do trust Safi, and the fact that Irad chose White Abarrio over Krupe says a lot. Because Krupe, to me, that's a very vulnerable contender, not vulnerable, but you know, is a contender. So that, you know, that says a lot, but also kind of says negatively about Krupe. Another reason I didn't really put him on top. You know, and I think Locked is just going to kind of run away with this. But I did really want – okay, but I want to hear about what you think about White Abarrio before I move on.
No, I actually, you hit on all the exact points. It's like, should have won the last race. That's all I got to say. I mean, come on, that race was perfect, set up. Everything was there. Should have won it, right? Now you got to stretch back out off of that disappointing race. You're going to be 3-1. You know, Safi and Irad are – that's pretty good together. Like they're winning everything. So you can't completely overlook it. But I think you might have, we and I talked a little bit earlier, you got a pretty big long shot play to throw into some exactas, don't you?
I do. And you know, just like the Mare won the Invitational Turf last year, I think a filly might win this Pegasus World Cup. That 12, terrible post, by the way. So that kind of killed my vibe a little bit. But morning line of 30-1, I'll take it. Power Squeeze. The Kentucky Derby alumnus, the lone filly in this race, going against the boys for trainer Jorge Delgado with Castellano aboard. Very tough, you know, in here. First time going against the boys, and she's got the terrible post. But she is a multiple grade stakes winner with a grade 1 win as well. She won the grade 1 Alabama in August at Saratoga. Loves Gulfstream Park. 2 wins and a second from 3 starts. All 3 of those starts were in stakes races, including the grade 2 Gulfstream Park Oaks, going a mile and a 16th. Last time out, she did finish second in a listed stake. Okay, however, she beat Breeders' Cup filly and Mare Sprint winner Soul of an Angel, who finished third. You know, in the past 5 years, Delgado and Castellano win at 50% in graded stakes races together and 67% in the money with a plus 148% ROI. It's a small sample size of just 6 starts, but that's 4 different horses, 3 different winners, or 2 different winners, excuse me. Past 5 years in all races together, Delgado and Castellano win at 33% and 73% in the money. You gotta throw her in. You know, 5 wins from 15 starts, 11 in the money. Big price, really tough test, but as a horse racing fan, I want her to win. I want her to beat the boys. I love that. You know, some of my favorite horses have been fillies and mares. Obviously, Zenyatta and Rachel, Songbird.
For sure.
So
I don't see. I can't get there. I can't get
yeah.
to her winning. I can see her finding a way to get a piece somehow, but I can't see her winning. The one that I thought was interesting and not based on the last two races. Sometimes you got to look a little bit deeper on that. Is the 3 Newgrange? I mean, D'Angelo is on fire.
Yeah, he is.
Absolutely.
He's winning at 27% at
Yeah.
Gulfstream this meet.
And it's rare you go from the D'Amato to the D'Angelo barn, but I think this horse may actually go back to some of his previous best races. And in his best races, he beat Mixto, in the San Antonio handicap, and he beat Newgate and beat Mixto again. And like, he faced the best of the best on the West Coast, acquitted himself quite well. He's got a good spot, shows he's working pretty well with that 47 flat on January 8th breezing workout. So I think this horse may be set to run a decent race and is going to get way overlooked. And at 20-1, I can throw him in the exactas and feel pretty good about it. I like my play. I think Locked will probably find a way to finish in the money somewhere. So, maybe we just take some shots around it, filling out the other spots.
Yeah, Newgrange was really interesting as well. I kind of had a hard time taking him off my list, because you're right. You take out those last two races. If he's going into this race without those two races on the running line, you're like, oh wow, he could be 3-1. And I love D'Angelo at Gulfstream, and also post position 3. I believe I remember this correct. 60 wins out of 359 starts for mile and eighth on the dirt. So that's the top best place to be in the race. He's got a perfect running style for it.
Yep.
He doesn't have to be on the lead either. He can come off the pace. So.
For sure. So I think it'll be interesting to see where we about halfway through the race, where Newgrange is sitting will tell you how this thing's going to run out. So I'm excited to watch this thing play out for sure.
I'm so excited. We are finally the Pegasus World Cup weekend, and be sure to check out the ABR live show live at Pegasus 4 p.m. on Saturday, streaming on all socials on Equibase. So good luck, everybody, in all your wagers in the Pegasus World Cup this weekend. Thank you so much, Corey, for being on, and we'll see you next week.